President Trump has renewed his warnings to Iran against supporting the Houthis in Yemen. Mr. Trump issued his threats as the US forces launched large-scale strikes against Houthi targets, the biggest US military operation since he returned to office. Iran has condemned the attacks, calling them brutal. The first, on Saturday, hit the capital Sana'a, reportedly targeting air defences and radar systems, as well as missile and drone sites. A US official said the strikes, which so far have killed at least 31 people, according to the Houthi-run health ministry, could last for weeks. In a social media post, US Central Command said the strikes were intended to, in their words, defend American interests, deter enemies and restore freedom of navigation. In their words, defend American interests, deter enemies and restore freedom of navigation.
Restore American interests and navigation. Let's see what they're talking about. Reading in between the lines of what they're not telling you on the news and the media.
This is the most dangerous point of the 21st century, where World War III could start at any time. This is the Bab al Mandab, a small area of 28 kilometers between Yemen and Djibouti. This point is so crucial that 11 countries have built their military bases in Djibouti to take control of it. This is the very point where ships coming from the Middle East and Asia cross through, entering the Red Sea. And then from here, these ships cross the Suez Canal to reach Europe and America. So basically, it's the shortest route connecting Asia and the Middle East to Europe. 10% of the world's oil and 6% of its natural gas supply pass through this 28-kilometer choke point. And it's not just oil and gas. All trade between Asia and Europe also happens through this route, and all the internet cables are also coming through this point to reach Asia and the Middle East. And nowadays, this point has become quite hot because Yemeni Houthi rebels are continuously targeting Israeli, British, and American ships passing through.
Now that we got a little bit of understanding of what's going on, it's Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen are attacking American shipping containers, and some of these also other countries as well. America has interest because some of their goods are being put on these ships to make their way sometimes into your homes, sometimes into other people's homes in other countries. Wondering why your Amazon package is being delayed? The ones that's coming from overseas? Now you know why. Because those tankers carry a lot of money up on there, a lot of goods. And when stuff like that happens so often, what happens is that insurance companies don't even insure those ships that's going through those canals in those straits. But we're about to continue on.
Now, the Houthis are an Iran-backed armed group in de facto control of most of Yemen, and they started attacking commercial vessels in response to Israel's war in Gaza. Those attacks saw traffic in the Suez Canal fall by 2/3 between 2023 and 2024. They haven't attacked any ships since November, but on Wednesday threatened to resume them in response to Israel's blockades of electricity and aid entering Gaza.
Now, getting a little more understanding, this is a response. Now, Iran supports not only the Houthis in Yemen, they also support Hamas and Hezbollah. So, Hamas is a so-called T organization group, as America dubs it. And we're going to see what these Amalek over there in the land did to them. That helped to escalate these tensions. That's ultimately going to lead to what? World War III. Joel 2 and 20, I believe. 1 second, let me grab. Yeah, this is Joel chapter 2, verse 20 says, "But I will remove far off from you the northern army." Northern army is America. Because what is it? You got the 3 city-states, London, you got the Vatican, and D.C. DC controls the military aspect of the world. The Pentagon is the teeth of the beast. So that Northern Army is North America. But I will remove far off from you the Northern Army and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. Now, the East Sea is talking about the Euphrates. Utmost sea is your Red Sea. All in between that area is a land barren and desolate. There's a lot of land over there that is desert land. You had Operation Desert Storm was the beginning of the fulfillment of this prophecy when America went over there. With a land barren and desolate. So that's referring to. So all of this pertains to Joel. As you can see, they're right at the utmost sea. Look at all that tension that's happening in the utmost sea.
Israel says it's cutting off what little electricity it's supplying to Gaza. The Israeli energy minister signed an order on Sunday to stop any remaining transfer of electricity to the Strip. Now, the move is widely seen as a way to pressure Hamas to accept an extension of the first phase of the ceasefire deal. Gaza's infrastructure has been devastated by the war. It's turned to generators and solar panels to source some of its limited power supply. Well, Israel's total blockade on Gaza is fueling desperation. In Khan Yunis, people are struggling to get bread and basic supplies. Fuel shortages have also forced several bakeries and shops to close. Now, Sunday marks 8 days since access to the Strip was completely cut off by Israel.
There's a siege on all of Gaza's people, from all the borders. As you can see, we're waiting for our turn to get a bag of bread. All of these people waiting for a bag of bread. This is our situation. The people of Gaza need aid. There's a siege on all of the people of Gaza, and we are all alike now, the wealthy and the poor.
How am I supposed to feed my children? How am I supposed to break my fast during Ramadan? I have a baby and I can't get diapers for him. I swear to God, I can't get him diapers. This is not a normal life.
Hind Qadri is live for us now in Gaza City. So, Hind, what will this cut of electricity actually mean? What services are going to be impacted there, if any?
Okay, so let's make it clear that it's not electricity. It's only one line of electricity. Gaza Strip has been without any electricity since October 7, 2023. So it's only one line and it's powering only one desalination plant, which is in Deir al-Balah in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. And this desalination plant was producing 17,000 cubic meters of water. Now, since the cut of this electricity line, there has been no water pumps and people are suffering to find water. Now, it's not only this, but also for 8 days now, the Israeli forces have been closing the main borders and crossing to the Gaza Strip, which is Karim Abu Salim, where no food, fuel, water and all the essentials are deprived from entering the Gaza Strip. But it's not only affecting the food situation, but it's also affecting the health sector as the fuel is not coming and all health facilities are in risk of collapsing. We have a guest with us today, Dr. Chris, and he works and volunteers with Pandema, and he came to volunteer and currently volunteering in Al-Shifa and Al-Ma'madani. Dr. Chris, how is this closure of the crossing affecting the medical sector?
Yeah, we're really running very short on critical medical supplies. So, for example, we are running low on essentials like oxygen masks, nebulizer masks.
Let's speak to Fawaz Gerges, who's Professor of International Relations at the London School of Economics. Thank you for joining us. Your reaction to the events of the last day or so?
Well, I mean, really qualitative escalation on the part of the Trump administration. I think Trump has two aims. First is to preemptively deter the Houthis from re-attacking the shipping lanes in the Red Sea. But I think the broader, bigger aim of the Trump administration is to exert pressure on Iran, to force Iran to come to the table and talk about its nuclear and ballistic missile programs.
And we begin this Sunday morning with President Trump's new message to Iran, with the commander-in-chief ordering a powerful and deadly attack against Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen over the weekend. Multiple rebels dead after the strikes hit the intended targets in Yemen's capital city on Saturday. With President Trump writing on Truth Social, the Houthis have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence, and terrorism against American ships, aircraft, and drones. Your attacks must stop starting today. And if they don't, hell will rain down upon you like nothing you have ever seen before, writes the president. Trump also sending a direct message to Iran, warning the Iranians not to support terrorist proxies. The president following up after breaking news on this program last week that he sent a letter to the supreme leader of Iran asking to open up talks regarding Iran's nuclear ambitions.
I've written him a letter saying, I hope you're going to negotiate, because if we have to go in militarily, it's going to be a terrible thing for them.
You wrote a letter to the Khomeini,
Yes.
the leader? When did you send the letter?
Yesterday.
And you said you better negotiate, or we want you to negotiate?
I didn't say you better. I said,
Okay.
I hope you're going to negotiate, because it's going to be a lot better for Iran. And I think they want to get that letter. The other alternative is we have to do something, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
Those comments sparking a response to the interview from Iran last weekend, with the supreme leader saying Iran would not be bullied, writing, the insistence of some bullying governments on negotiations is not aimed at resolving issues, but rather at asserting dominance and imposing their demands. The Islamic Republic of Iran will certainly not accept their demands, writes the Ayatollah Khomeini.
And that's why Trump yesterday made it very clear that he will hold Iran fully responsible for any kind of support for the Houthis. So, and this is not just about today's attacks on the Houthis. There are multiple reports that the Trump administration will continue to attack the Houthis and try to destroy whatever military capacity they have. What we know in the past 17 months is that his predecessor, President Biden, carried out multiple attacks, multiple times against the Houthis, and it failed to deter the Houthis because it's an asymmetrical warfare. So we have to wait and see whether the new strategy by the Trump administration will be more effective than the Biden's administration strategy.
And you say that the Trump administration is keen for Iran to return to the negotiating table over its nuclear program. Given that the Houthis are directed largely by Iran and that Iran's other proxy, Hezbollah, has been so weakened in Lebanon, what do you think the chances of that are?
Well, I think my reading, and remember, we are speculating that Iran does not really want to get militarily engaged with the United States or with Israel. Iran is in a waiting mode. It does not really want to fall into the trap of either Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu or the hardliners within the Trump administration who really would like to destroy Iran's nuclear program. The only problem is it's miscalculation. What if basically Iran supplies the Houthis with more advanced technologies? And the Houthis have made it very clear they will retaliate. And you're going to see the Houthis retaliating in the next few days when they can target other American ships or ships in the Red Sea. So the situation now, we have to wait and see what will happen in the next few days. But I doubt it very much whether Iran will respond to Trump's threats directly, because Iran is not really prepared at this particular moment to get engaged militarily with either Israel or the United States.
The fact that one of the aims of these airstrikes is to improve the conditions for ships going through these routes that are affected by attacks from the Houthis. Do you think that will actually make things worse in the short time, that there will be more attacks from the Houthis on these shipping routes?
Well, if history is a guide, I think the situation is going to get scarier and riskier and more dangerous. And that's exactly what happened when the Biden administration escalated the attacks against the Houthis. Remember, we're talking about asymmetrical warfare. The Houthis have very little to lose. In fact, both the Biden administration and the Trump administrations have raised the profile of the Houthis because the United States, the most powerful nation in the world, has taken on the Houthis, a very tiny group in Yemen. But the reality is, without really ending the war in Gaza, because the Houthis have stopped attacking the shipping lanes after the ceasefire in Gaza. Now, with Israel's blockade of Gaza, the Houthis have threatened to attack the shipping lanes, even though they have not done so. What I worry about is that the Trump administration escalating its response. There are multiple reports coming from Washington saying that some elements of the Trump administration would like to become more militarily engaged and try for regime change in Yemen. And ironically, the Trump administration basically has come to power, to the White House, on the premise that he does not really want any military engagements in the world, including in the Middle East. So again, this is what we're talking about now. It's a moving target. It's very difficult to really have a clarity because there is so much dust on the battlefield. We are blinded by the dust. We have to wait and see what will happen in the next few days and next few weeks.
Professor Fawaz Jajez of the London School of Economics, thank you very much.
Joining me now with more on the Yemeni attack, Iran, and the president's agenda is the nation's Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. Mr. Secretary, great to see you this morning. Thank you for being here. Can you tell us how it all went down on Saturday?
Well, it all went down because an era of peace through strength is back. Just like in his first term, President Trump had to deal with the weakness of President Obama and get rid of ISIS, and he did it more quickly than anybody else. We're sitting on 4 years of deferred maintenance from Joe Biden, where in particular, when you talk about the Houthis, they were allowed for over 100 times to shoot at U.S. Ships, to shoot at commercial shipping. 4 months ago, when we sent a ship through, it was shot at 17 times. Ships haven't been able to go through for over a year without being shot at. Freedom of navigation is basic. It's a core national interest. And President Trump has said, we will restore that and we will be unrelenting. I want to be very clear. This campaign is about freedom of navigation and restoring deterrence. The minute the Houthis say, we'll stop shooting at your ships, we'll stop shooting at your drones, this campaign will end. But until then, it will be unrelenting. We got the reports last night, Maria. The Houthi capital felt like an earthquake. Dozens and dozens of precision heavy munitions dropping precisely on the targets that we wanted to hit, sending a very clear message. And the message is clear to Iran as well. And the president said it in his truth. Your support of the Houthis needs to end immediately. We will hold you accountable as the sponsor of this proxy. And I echo his statement. We will not be nice about it. This is not the Biden administration. The message is clear. We will come after the Houthis until they stop shooting at our ships, and the Iranians better stay out of it.
So this is just to paint a picture of how things are just escalating in just this little bit of time period without even going back even further about things that have helped to escalate to this. Now, you had a while back, the Yemenis, Houthi rebels, they had shot some arrows over there to the gutter rat land. So the tensions here are rising increasingly. And this is just a report to show you things are escalating. They are escalating. You're going to have your ceasefires. You're going to have your truces. And just like what did he do? He breaks his agreements, his covenants with everybody. But things are getting more and more intense. Way more intense. The things that's happening over on the other side of the world, all of the tension that's happening in the utmost sea, that's where you want to pay attention. The Straits of Hormuz, I don't know, I already forgot to pronounce the Al-Ababa Straits or whatever. You want to pay attention to what's going on in there. On that note, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem HaKakodash. And double honors to the elders of GMS Rule well. Peace, salutations, and shalom.